Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, sweetheart. How you doing?
I can't complain at all. My name is Kia Henley and I'm with Hollywood Melanin, and it's such a pleasure to have this opportunity to have this conversation with you. So, first and foremost, I need to congratulate you on your renewal of season 5.
Ah, thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So it's definitely been an interesting year with the pandemic and all, right? And LA being one of the last states to open up. I know you guys, I live in Georgia, so it's very different. So how
Well,
have you been? How are you doing considering all things?
I have benefited from this lockdown, to be truthful. It has been difficult for our family, as it has been for everybody, to you know, the social emotional, as
Yes.
Sun School calls it, connection. We are all deprived of that, and I look forward to being able to get back to just hugging people, and
Absolutely.
feeling there. But the adjustment has, you manage, and in this time it's been a very, when this started, I was asked, when all the rules are taken away,
Mhm.
what what do you do? What will you allow yourself to do when there are no rules? And I found myself reaching or acknowledging things about myself and the possibilities in my life that I didn't allow myself to consider before,
Mhm.
because there were rules and I lived within, I compartmentalized my life,
Yeah,
and
you slow
but
down.
right, but when
Yeah.
the borders are all taken away and you can do whatever the hell you want, I found myself doing shit that it was beautiful. It was just fantastic. So that has been really, really beautiful, promise, fruitful for me.
That's
And I look forward to, now that we are, embodying the rules again, I look forward to living in a truth that recreates that consciousness for me, continuing that journey of consciousness, even though we are getting back into life.
right. Oh, wow, that's super good. How would you say, if at all, did the pandemic impact or influence your performance in Snowfall season 4? Because I know you guys started shooting and then stopped and then started. So how would you say that had an impact on that?
It, well, I'll tell you, the lockdown, sure. Yes. I mean, we all became very conscious of the need to protect ourselves and each other. Um,
Yes,
the very clear and big understanding that none of us can do this alone, that we
absolutely.
all need each other. And in
Mhm.
order for us to keep our jobs, we
Yes,
all had to take care of each other, which meant taking care of ourselves, of our environment, and what we allow ourselves once we leave. Because at work, it was a
yeah,
very safe environment. I mean, Disney, oh boy, they went over and above
of
to
course.
make sure that we were all tested, and we were all, and that we, when we were on set, we observed and understood the rules of intermingling and blah blah blah, social distancing. um,
Yeah.
so that was beautiful. But artistically, it was, there was, because alongside the lockdown was the revolution, right? So we
Right,
can't
right,
ignore that. Nobody could, or at least I couldn't, or we couldn't.
right.
um, and I do believe that it greatly altered. I don't know if it altered the storyline, but it
Uh-huh.
certainly altered. I think it did alter the storyline. I'll say that.
Okay.
There was more urgency. There was more consciousness. There
Yeah.
was more attention to uh, the relationships between the characters
Hmm.
that may not have been there before, that may not have been a consciousness, or the depth of understanding
Uh-huh.
that was necessary if you are not a person of African descent.
Right.
um, everybody was a part of the conversation now, not just from a bird's eye view, but you were forced as a white person,
Yes.
if you gave a shit, you were forced to be viscerally in that conversation and listen. And from those very intense, passionate, truthful conversations, and the willingness to listen came an even more, because we have always prided ourselves on the authenticity of telling this story. And that was John Singleton's influence.
Right.
But because of the revolution, there is even more intense and more grounded in the truth, not only of the story in South Central, but the story of African people throughout the diaspora.
Yeah.
And that became a part of our consciousness and the writing as we moved forward from episode 4.
That's beautiful. That's super beautiful. Oh my goodness. So just 3 episodes in, FX handed you guys an early renewal, right? And said, yes, you guys have season 5 is coming up next, right? Yeah. And so upon that amazing news, I noticed that you tweeted, and I quote, "Because of you, the story keeps going," on March 23rd. And so I kind of analyzed your tweet as being probably, in my opinion, dual purposed, in that you were speaking directly to the fans, but definitely paying homage to John Singleton. Talk a little bit about that. Can you elaborate on that?
John. Whenever
I love your smile.
Whenever I'm asked about John, and living through this experience without him, my gut response is, I'm not doing this without him.
Right.
Because I have a firm belief in the active participation of our ancestors in our earthly daily lives. Yes?
Yes.
So I am very aware that John is working his magic from where he is, right, on his level. And we are all living in that. He is such an integral part of this experience that we're having. He is such an integral part, and he continues to be.
Yeah.
So tremendously in every script, in every, because we talked about, when John was here, his whole thing was, it's got to be true. It's got to be, people want to see themselves. I remember having a conversation with him about a scene in the kitchen, season 1. I was cooking something, and he said, you have to have a particular seasoning salt in your cabinet, because there's no way an African American home in South Central at that time didn't have whatever the hell seasoning salt it was.
Right.
Those specificities were important to him. Yeah. And that still lingers with me. That still, and so even, when we're doing pancakes or whatever, I'm like, where is that particular kind of syrup, or where is this, or where is that? Yeah. So he is in everything. He is, I mean, when I tell you that there wasn't an aspect of our production that he was not a part. Many of the crew members that are still on the show today were brought on by John. Right. And I'm talking about the African faces that I have the pleasure of experiencing. Anybody in this industry knows that our business is predominantly run and driven by white men. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. So to be in an experience like this, and then be surrounded by an African crew, African men, African women who are fierce at their job, who are just fucking fierce. And it feels so good. And I remember John being so excited season 3, when we came back and there were so many African faces, so many. And I was just like, damn, hi, how do you, EP, our cameraman, our this and that. And he was like, you see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing?
Right.
I was like,
here? Yeah.
Like, what the hell? So, I mean, he is still in everything that we do. So it's just, it's a good experience to be a part of.
That's beautiful. So as an artist, and you are one who, since I've researched you, you follow your calling and you continue to do so as an actress, right? How would you say your role has revolutionized or evolved from season 1 to the present season 4?
Well, Cissy has evolved.
Yes.
Cissy has evolved. I mean, this journey that this woman is on, you are now, what are we doing? Episode 9 now? Is that?
Yeah. We're about to see 9.
You've had, over the last 4 years, had the opportunity to see not just Cissy the mom, but the career woman, yes, and the wife.
Yes.
And I don't think we have enough opportunities to see us in the multi-dimensional consciousness that we actually live in. Yeah. Right. We play moms.
Yeah.
And or we are this or we are that, but you've had the opportunity to see Cissy find herself even, yes. I mean, she's always had a very strong moral compass, blah, 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 but you have seen the challenges. And the thing I love about this diva is that she doesn't have it figured out.
Right.
Right. And she doesn't claim to have it figured out. I mean, like we all do, we think we understand, and then life smacks us in the face. And as so many of us do, we get punched in the stomach and we get back up and we figure it out and we keep moving on. Mm-hmm. And what is the through line is that we are connected to our children. We are invested in our children. We are invested in our families. Yes. Mm-hmm. And we find a way of, through that, being invested in ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And clarifying for ourselves, what does that mean? Because, I'm a mom and I understand that, you lose yourself in the focus of your children, the focus of your family. And at some point in that consciousness of being a parent, you need to remind yourself and the world, hey, I existed before I had you in my stomach. And who is that person now? And especially as the children grow older, as Franklin is doing, and claiming his own space and being independent and moving out. Mm-hmm. That whole empty nest thing, that whole who am I now that I am not raising you? Not that it ever ends, but all of these dynamics, you're watching this woman sift through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Without having an answer. And that is life, yes?
Yeah, by far. And you segued right into my next question, because I was going to say, I know you spent most of your career either as making guest appearances or doing reoccurring roles, right? But mm-hmm. As Cissy's saying, the viewership really refers to you as the heart of Snowfall. Like, I personally feel that's what they say. I'm just going by the Twitter, the tweets, and IG as being the glue that kind of keeps Franklin and the family together, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I feel just personally, because you bring that British, you bring that Jamaican American unapologetic, right? Michael Hyatt to Cissy every time I get to see you. I remember telling one of my friends, seeing you in season 1, I was just like, she's definitely a Jamaican woman. She's definitely from Jamaican descent, because I'm St. Tomian, and I could just feel that in the role. I knew it. And the way you talk and the things that you do, your mannerisms were very much what I know of, being a mother, Caribbean descent. So that is just beautiful to see every time you go onto the role. And I just feel like you embody the words "to thine own self be true." Right, every time we see you on screen.
That's funny. I have that on my car.
You do?
The Shakespeare thing, "to thine own self be true."
Yeah.
I mean, I am African, British, Jamaican American. I am that.
Yes.
And I happen to think that so many of us in this, well, none of us come from here, right? So we all have an aspect of ourselves that is something else, right? And it's all a part of the African experience. And especially somebody like John would tell me that he has family members, West Indian family members. And when he thought of this story, of these people, he was thinking of his aunt or his grandmother or his this or his that who are West Indian or whatever. So it gave me permission to allow any aspect of myself to come out, because they all represent who Cissy is, who all of us are. Yes, it is not necessary, especially when you are working on a production that is African conscious, yes, the truth of telling our stories. There is, and it's so profound. You cannot deny the beauty of being able to just live in your fucking skin. It is so tremendous. I have worked on several productions. Thank God I have had that blessing. And I can't tell you, like, something as simple as, you know, when I was working on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I would come to work and, you know, in my blah, blah, blah. And the co-creator said to me, you know, Michael, if you had come into the audition with your natural hair, we could totally have just done that. Why couldn't we have done that? Why couldn't we have done that? Well, you know, we live in a world where that is not acceptable. So that's why I didn't, that's why I wore a fucking wig, you know? So it's just beautiful to be in an environment where, as you will see, wait, did they do that already? Did they do that in one of the episodes?
Not yet. Don't tell on yourself. Don't tell on yourself yet.
Where you can just embrace and enjoy your African culture in all its glory.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I appreciate your realness and your transparency, I must say. So with you being a seasoned actress and playing Franklin Sade's mom on the show, obviously, is there ever a time that you provide guidance or mentorship to Damson as he nurtures his craft, his role, just in general?
Yes, you know, I love being a fly on the wall. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Isaiah, my beautiful baby. Isaiah John is a young man who is evolving as the show evolves.
Yes, we had a pleasure to interview him not too long ago. So yes, absolutely.
Little baby, I love him. And this was his first major gig. Yeah. So he and you know, he would come to me every now and then and we're rubbing shoulders and he's just talking about his experience and we talk about, so yes, and Damson absolutely. But it is also beautiful to just sit back and watch his interaction with Kevin Carroll. Is, you know, we are, you know, we come from the same place and his feedback, the way they bounce off each other and the knowledge that Kevin willingly imparts to Damson because he sees himself in Damson. And Damson is very respectful of the journey that Kevin has been on. So it's lovely. It's a first time for me to be in an environment where I am one of the eldest cast members, and to have such people that are so much younger working with me. And it is a joy to be a part of that family. So it's like you're a mother on so many different levels and I embrace it. I love it.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. So, you know, viewers often compare The Wire to Snowfall, right? Because The Wire was such a landmark series, right? Or landmark experience. How did your role as Brianna Barksdale in The Wire influence, if any, your role as Cissy? And what did you learn about yourself as you compare the roles? Or have you?
Yeah. The Wire was my first major experience to this journey of walking with a woman through her life, right?
Yes.
Brianna and Cissy are two incredibly different women.
Yeah.
Incredibly. Brianna was all about the business, cutthroat, didn't give a fuck, right? It was about maintaining what they had, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Is completely the opposite. Cissy's dream is to be a real estate mogul. Yes, Cissy's dream is to have her son go to college and go to Harvard and come back and be a community activist or an attorney. There was no consciousness of this world. Brianna embraced this life and stuff. Cissy pushes it as far away from herself as possible. The only thing that they both have in common is they were mothers who were doing the best they could for their family.
Yeah.
I mean, who isn't? But they are on two very different ends of the spectrum. The Wire was beautiful for me because it was the first time that I had, man, it took me places emotionally. And I was so young for that. I had just like recently gotten out of grad school and, and I did not know, here it is. I did not know that I had what I had artistically, emotionally. I didn't know that level of vulnerability that was asked of me telling Brianna's story. I had to find those things within myself. So it pulled me in so many. I remember an episode, I don't know what where I had to cry. I mean, I don't know what it was, but I remember going to Wendell Pierce, who I had known when I was at Howard. He was a guest instructor, and I was like, Wendell, they're asking me to cry. I don't know how to do that. I don't know, where does that come from? And he says, it comes from you. He said something really simple and so bloody profound that I went back to my trailer and I just trusted. I allowed myself to, something like, how, I was once a smoker, and, smokers use the cigarette to tune out or to calm down or take a break. But what happens when you don't? And so I decided I'm not going to take that cigarette, because right now I can't tune out. I need to stay present. I need to allow myself to feel whatever it is that Brianna is feeling. It may be scary for Michael, but it is necessary for Brianna. So I learned how to get out of my own ego so that the truth of the story I'm being asked to tell had the platform to be told. And that's something I learned on The Wire. So it was a beautiful artistic experience for me. It was education. Yeah, beyond anything that I'd gotten in school.
I'm sure. Yeah, right. Beyond the theory of film and art and theater, right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Michael, we are such huge fans of your work, and we definitely would like to see more of you and your art and your craft outside of Snowfall. So are there any passion projects that you are interested in bringing to life, bringing to fruition, or possibly a historical figure that you would like to play in the future? Talk a little more about that.
Oh, wow. You know what's lovely? We are in a time right now where we are living in a time where, like I said, with the lockdown, that the rules are changing. Time will tell if what I've always been against is Black being in vogue. Because what happens when it's not in vogue? Where do we go? Who are we? What do we see then. So, but right now we are in a place where the consciousness of what a woman is supposed to do, what a middle-aged person is supposed to do, what an African is supposed to do, we are breaking those rules. And we're breaking them because we have writers who are taking the stage. We have producers and directors who are taking the stage. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff that excites me. And again, when the rules went out the window, it expanded my consciousness of who I was as an artist in this business. And as a result, I started allowing myself to embrace other aspects of this business. So yes, I am working on some passion projects. Don't ask me what they are, you'll see them. But I am, and I'm so grateful to have had this time to just redefine myself for me, you know, and just expand. One of the things I love about artists like Whoopi Goldberg, and I've, you know, one of the things I loved is that she constantly reinvented herself. You know, there, you can't, you know, we all started on, we knew Whoopi as a comedian.
Yeah.
And then she did this acting thing, and then she's a talk show host, and then she's a this and she's a that. And I'm like, but that is what being an artist is. And I'd always seen myself like this, right? I was an actor. I hustled. I went to school for it. I went to grad school for it. I did theater. I was an actor. But then, yeah, you are an actor, but you're an artist, and you can do any fucking thing you want to do. And especially in a world where we are breaking those rules, you really can do any bloody thing. All you got to do is say yes to yourself.
Yeah.
Just say the yes. You don't need to know the how, the why, the when, the who, the what. Just say yes. And once you say yes, you're opening that door for yourself, for those answers to come, and then just embrace that yes. So that's what I've been doing, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love your transparency. I love your authentic self. I love what you bring to this role. And I appreciate having the opportunity to talk with you today. We are looking forward to seeing episodes 8, 9, and 10 right now. Yeah. And then just really, really on the horizon of seeing what season 5 brings for you and how you evolve as Cissy Saint. It's been a lovely journey to watch you from season 1 to season 4. And we are just thankful that you guys have been renewed for another season. And blessings to you, and all of that is yours. I appreciate this time. It's been a pleasure.
I love you, darling. And thank you for doing what you do and bringing our work, not just Snowfall, but the work of our people to our people. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for being that vessel for all of us.
Absolutely. And thank you too.
Take care
and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sweetheart.